Let's go. Josh,
what's up, brother?
thank you very much for having us.
Thank you for coming.
And also thank you very much for having this interview. I'm going to give you a quick thing. I was Googling wrestling in Phuket, and by accident, I just found out Josh's gym. What's funny about Josh's gym is he recently opened. You've been open for a week?
A week and a half.
A week and a half. So yeah, how lucky of us. I was trying to find wrestling in other gyms. I've been already to Bang Tao, but I was looking for somewhere else. I was like, well, let's test a bit the waters. Yeah. And luckily enough, I found Josh over here. Josh, thank you again for having us.
You're welcome.
Can you give a bit of a background from you, where you're from?
Yeah, so from the US, from Pennsylvania. For those of you that know, Pennsylvania is the mecca of wrestling.
Penn State, yeah?
Yeah, so from Pennsylvania. I ended up here, I moved here about 3 years ago full time. Originally, I was just gonna travel and train, and I ended up, I was into jiu-jitsu at that time because my wrestling career was over. Ended up at a jiu-jitsu school, did a wrestling class there, and then kind of built my name. Wrestling's not popular here, so a lot of people are looking for wrestling coaches.
Yes.
Ended up at an MMA gym coaching wrestling, and then I got to a point, I have a family now and stuff. It was like, I wanted to do my own thing, you know, and kind of, in Thailand, wrestling isn't super popular among the Thais either, so I wanted to be like the first one to kind of build the wrestling scene, you know, and there's a lot of Russians here as well, which is nice.
A lot.
A lot of my kids' class is like all Russian, you know, so it's really
It's great. It's great to have that. You see, whatever politics separates, wrestling unites, you know?
Exactly.
USA, Iran, Russia, we all friends.
I got
on
an
the mat.
Iranian coach over here.
There you go. So yeah, whatever politics separates, wrestling is going to unite. So whenever you're going to be in a wrestling mat, don't worry, it's no politics, it's just high pace, high crutches, and high fun.
Yes, exactly.
So Josh, you mentioned that you've been wrestling in college back home, I guess.
Yeah, so I started when I was 6, when I was younger, me and my brother, and then I wrestled through high school, and then I got a scholarship to wrestle Division I.
The dream?
Yeah, the dream, so you think, but I wasn't much of a student, you know? So it was cool, but it was like, once I got there, I'm like, you know? So I quit college. I was working construction, I was building bridges, and I had a wrestling club, like a kids wrestling club, and yeah, it was good, you know? And I got to the point where my body was broken, and I was just ready to, like, you know, I only wrestled my whole life. Like, I was just a wrestler. And I kind of, when I quit school, I'm like, oh, you know, I'm making money, I can do this, I can travel, and it kind of opened the world up for me, because I was just stuck in a wrestling room my whole life. Not that I hated it, I learned a lot, but I just felt like it was time to move on, you know? And I consider myself a lot better coach than competitor, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm happy with it. I love coaching.
Amazing. Coming back on that, when you mentioned over there, you also felt that the reason why you kind of quit competition wrestling is because there's no future behind college. At the end of the day, you either make the Olympic team or kind of your career finishes.
Right. And for me, it was like, I wasn't going to be a doctor, a lawyer, you know? So for me, the education, now for some people it's great, but for me it was pointless. I'm like, I'm just here to wrestle, and I spend like a quarter of my time doing that, and everything else is packed with academics. And I was like, this is like, I hated it, you know? And it's hard to do good at something that you don't like. You know?
Exactly, yeah.
So I envy the other countries, like in Australia, I have friends that were really good at rugby. And over there, you quit school and you go play rugby. I'm like, oh, that's the dream.
Yeah, there's no professionality in wrestling. You either, as you said, you move into jiu-jitsu, you move into MMA or WWE.
Or you're the top 1% in the world and you're wrestling at the Olympics and
Which,
stuff.
if you think about it, guys like Jordan Burrow is been occupying that space for the last 15 years.
Exactly.
So you have one generational talent that is going to take over that weight class, and there's no way you can make the Olympics. So as you said, it's not even 0.1. It's probably nor 0.1, and it's the elite of the elite. So it makes it very hard. How did you find the transition between wrestling and jiu-jitsu? Did you struggle a bit at the beginning, or was it quite smooth?
I'd say pretty smooth, you know? I mean, I was getting submitted a lot,
Let me guess, triangles and headlocks and guillotines?
Yeah, so you have to unlearn, you gotta unlearn like some positional things from wrestling. But after like a couple weeks, I was fine, I could roll with black belts. Because I do folk style wrestling, we do a lot of the like hooks, or jiu-jitsu guys call them hooks, we call them legs. We do a lot of like crab ride stuff. So I was automatically just taking everyone's back right away. It's just instinctual for wrestlers, I think. But yeah, the transition wasn't too hard. I'm a purple belt now. I don't consider myself a purple belt. I consider myself like a blue belt that can wrestle.
This is the problem with wrestlers. We always think we are a level lower than we actually are. And whenever people, they look from us from outside, they're kind of like, no, you're actually one level or two on the top. But like, we are very harsh on ourselves. Right. It makes total sense. But just
the art of jiu-jitsu, like, I know what's going on, but like, am I gonna be able to sit here and teach the perfect triangle? Probably not, you know what I mean? But am I good at defending all this stuff? Yeah, that's where I'm king. Like, I can get position, you know, maybe my submission game isn't the best, but I can get position on anyone, you know,
So now that you have your school, I saw that most of the classes, they obviously wrestling, some people wear shoes, some people they don't wear shoes, but you kind of also have wrestling with submissions.
Yes.
Do you find like wrestling, MMA, pure jiu-jitsu guys and MMA, when they're coming over here, they adapt really easy to wrestling, or it takes a bit? What's your trick to make them be at ease, to make them relax into the wrestling?
Yeah, so a lot of them, I just kind of explain, like, I try to make it a game. So if I'm like, hey, we're gonna wrestle, they're like, oh, you know? But if I'm like, hey, we're gonna grapple, but the goal is to get on top. If you just explain it in a certain way, they're like, okay, I can do this. Now, the transition for the guys, I'd say MMA guys have a better, because they already can strike, they already have footwork, so I'd say they transition better than jiu-jitsu guys. But it all depends. But yeah, wrestling is hard to learn, you know? You don't learn it in a year, you know? So if guys really put the time in, they can adapt. But yeah, it's all footwork, and I try to teach, like today, you know, we did our snap downs. And I try to show how our snap down can be used to get to anything, you know? I try to teach concepts instead of being like, hey, we're doing this move, just do it. You know, I tell them why, how, and explain that position so they understand positions rather than like teaching them move by move, if that makes sense.
Also, the chances of them hitting those moves are almost zero.
Right.
If they don't understand the concept behind it. So yeah, it makes total sense. I found the same kind of problems when I moved into coaching. And I moved into coaching by accident, or better said, by need. Yeah. We were in London, and who would have thought that in a city like London, there was no schools 10 years ago. Yeah. Now there's a bunch of them. Even one of the t-shirts that I like to wear a lot is from my friend Johan in London. He not recently opened, but recently moved to a new location. Yeah. Fantastic gyms. Give it a go if you're in London. Yes, wrestling gym. Awesome. And again, like I found out, like people that are very passionate about wrestling, they tend to kind of move into coaching and move into this. Yeah. And then you have the high competition guys. As soon as they finish, they don't want to hear about wrestling anymore. Right. So yeah, that's great. One of the common questions that I have quite a lot in my classes when I was teaching, especially in London, is, yo, Claudio, what's the difference between American wrestling, folk style, and freestyle? Because I always tell them, this is more folk style, this is more freestyle, this is more Greco. They understand the difference between Greco and freestyle, but in your words, what would you say is the main difference?
Control. So in freestyle is fun, I love freestyle, but it's more sporty. Like, you know, you're like, let's say I throw you feet to back and I let you go and we stand back up. I get points for that. But in folk style, I can roll you across your back, there's no points. I have to control you and hold you there. So for me, folk style is MMA without punching. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's all about control, riding, and when I put you on your back, I got to keep you there. So I can't just roll you, right? And in a real fight, it reigns true. Like, I can go to my back, there's no penalty, you know? And there's more scrambles to be had because I can roll across my back, you know? So it's more, for me, folk style is more true to martial arts because there's not many rules on it. Like, I can go to my back, to score, I can go to my back to defend, you know, and I'm not getting penalized for it unless the guy has control and he's holding.
It gives you that freedom.
Right.
Yeah, because like when I watch college matches, it took me a while to adjust to the style as a viewer.
Right.
Because obviously I understand jiu-jitsu, I understand wrestling, but I was like, okay, there's something over here that they start like a clock. And there's like writing time, and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, we have to stand up.
And they give you a point for actually standing up, which is fair.
Right.
Because you have to work really hard to get out from the bottom.
And you see most guys pick bottom. They're like, they get their choice. They pick bottom because
nobody would do that in freestyle.
and I teach, like when I teach the Dagestanis and stuff in MMA, I'll teach them like stand-ups and stuff, and they're like, "Wow, I'm gonna get suplexed." I'm like, "Okay, suplex me in a fight, and I'm just gonna stand right back up. Like you can do all the suplex. It looks cool and stuff, but I'm a wrestler. I can take it. Suplex me 3 times. You're gonna waste your energy. I'm gonna stand right back up."
Exactly, especially in jiu-jitsu and MMA where they don't have a big value.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in wrestling, if you do the perfect German suplex, you get 5 points. In MMA, you just look cool on Instagram and on YouTube.
Exactly.
Which, hey, look, it's a fair point. But I don't think in an MMA fight you're kind of thinking about cool points, you know, in that moment. Great. So you said also that you had a gym, like a kids gym in USA. And now you have this one over here. What do you say is the main difference between running a gym there? And I know you have a bit time here, but you've been working in other gyms in Phuket. What do you say is the main difference here? It's harder to get people in because they don't, is that a culture?
There's a lot of differences. So back home, obviously, like there's kids that start wrestling from a young age. So, you know, I was coaching 6-year-olds to 15-year-olds, and they were all buying in. Like I didn't have to raise my voice. Anything I say jump, they go. You know, they're trained. They want to be there. They go hard. Here, I teach a lot of beginners. Like I'm trying to sell the sport to people. You know what I mean? Like some people hear about wrestling, they know it's important, and I'm like their first impression of wrestling. You know what I mean? So here, it's a different dynamic, and also here, I'm not coaching pure wrestling. I'm coaching wrestling for something, you know? And even today, like, I have 2 wrestlers, you and Ivo, and you guys, when you drill, you can drill to your gut wrenches and drill pure wrestling, and then I'll have 2 MMA fighters. And I'll have 2 jiu-jitsu guys. So I try to pair people up on their style. So like, in the evening classes when we do sparring, if I put 2 freestyle guys together, they can wrestle freestyle. I put 2 MMA guys together, it's like, okay, you guys can choke. 2 jiu-jitsu guys together, I'm not gonna let them pull guard.
Just don't sit on your ass,
But you guys can choke too, you know? So it's the main thing in here is that we're wrestling, is that we're trying to go for the takedown. Everything in between, I'm not too worried about. And like I said, now that I've done jiu-jitsu and I understand what we're trying to do, I understand what not to teach them and the things that don't work, you know, the things that'll leave you susceptible to certain things, you know, and I've really adapted to MMA jiu-jitsu. So that's the big difference is back home I'm teaching wrestling, and people, I don't gotta sell them on the sport. I don't have to, there's no fluff. We come in, we work
especially
hard.
Especially in Pennsylvania.
We come in, we work hard. Their parents wanna see me push them. They want me to make them cry, you know, like these kids are tough. Here, I'm holding some people's hand, which is fine, you know, I can do it all. And then some guys on the flip side have MMA fighters that want to go hard, and that's cool too. So I just have to adapt to everybody. We're back home.
It takes a bit more acrobatics in order to make the class run smooth.
Yeah, you can't coach everyone the same, you know what I mean? We're back home, it's like, you know, the kid starts crying or something, it's like, work harder, you know?
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Talking about the coaching part, for me, like, what advice would you give me? Because I've been doing it for a while now, but I get a lot of adults, sometimes 24, 25, sometimes even in the deep 30s, walking in a wrestling class for the first time. What would be your advice? What should a coach like me start with them in order to make sure they catch wrestling faster and to avoid as many injuries as possible during this time?
I'd say the biggest thing is footwork, drills like that, but also with beginners, you want them to like the sport, right? So if you just keep doing footwork and all the stuff that sucks, they're probably gonna eventually be like, what am I doing here, you know? So it's about mixing in the stuff that they need to do with the stuff that they want to do, you know, spoon feeding them the fun stuff, but making them every time they come in do the same drills, the same stuff, so that they're building habits. And then I'd say like with sparring, you know, when I have two like very brand new guys, if I put them together, injuries seem to always happen. So what I like to do is get an advanced guy and put him with a beginner guy, or even like all my fundamentals classes, we don't do like actual live, maybe sometimes, but it's objective based stuff. It's positional sparring. It's one guy starts on a leg, and it has to do with the technique that we did that day, so that they're understanding like what we're trying to do. Like we worked on the front headlock all day, we're gonna start you there, you know? So everything's fresh, and I try to do it like that, you know? Because some guys, you come in, you're like, okay, shake hands and go. They're like, what am I doing, you know?
Yeah, that's usually a fun one.
Yeah.
When you put two people in, they just kind of like, you saw this position before, you're like, they're kind of sitting like here.
Yeah.
So, what do I do now? Yeah, so great. Thank you very much for the advice. Josh, thank you very much for your answers. We're gonna finish over here with a panda questionnaire.
Okay.
I'm gonna call it like that, even if it's not mine, you know from before. So it's 10 questions. Every question has like a short answer, easy answer. Don't think too much about it. If you want to expand, you can expand. If you don't want to, you don't have to.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna take it pretty easy, maybe. First question, what's your favorite martial art?
To do wrestling, to watch MMA.
Great.
Yeah.
Second, what's your least favorite martial art?
Probably something I don't know about. Probably like kung fu or something that I can't do. Put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Third question, what motivates you?
What motivates me? When I show someone something they don't know and their eyes get big, like, oh, this is pretty cool. That's fun to me, you know.
And what unmotivates you?
The people that come in are like, I know. You try to help them, they're like, I know. That unmotivates me.
Yeah, those people suck.
Yeah.
Number 5, what exercise do you love? Outside of wrestling.
Yeah. I'm a meathead, so I like all the squats and the bench and
the big 5.
Yeah.
What exercise do you hate?
Running, because I've ran. When I used to compete, I used to run every day for a long time, and I hate it. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that's gonna agree with you, especially in martial arts.
Yeah.
Running is kind of like our kryptonite.
Yeah.
I would say the reason I learned how to fight is because I didn't want to run.
Yeah.
So it was like,
when I went to college, I thought I was on the track team. My coach was like, you know,
just go.
Too slow. I'm like, coach, you recruited me to wrestle, not to run.
Great. Number 7, what's your favorite technique?
My favorite technique, I like the Russian tie. I like the Russian tie a lot.
It's very versatile.
Yeah, can do a lot from there.
What's your least favorite technique?
Least favorite technique. Maybe, I don't know if I have a least favorite technique. Maybe my least favorite position, being on bottom. Put it that way. Yeah.
Coming from a folk style, that's big. You know, like you never chose bottom.
I like to be on my feet.
Great. Number 9, and this one is you as a coach, you as an athlete during all the time you've been competing. What is the main quality an athlete has to have in order to become a champion, in your opinion?
You have to be humble, like you have to be real with yourself, and you have to be consistent. If you're not hard on yourself and you think I'm good, you know, you're not going to work hard, and if you're not humble with your coaches and learning from everyone, you're not going to get better. So yeah, definitely being humble, and I think with being humble makes you work harder. So and you have that consistency. So
awesome. Yeah. And this is the number 10, the last one. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Don't chase women. Don't go to parties. Put your head down and wrestle. Yeah.
Josh, thank you very much. Give over here where people can find you. Give a shout to your gym.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. My gym name is Phuket Wrestling Club, so it'll be at Phuket Wrestling Club. We have Facebook, Instagram. We'll have a website soon. And then my personal Instagram is at stallion_wrestling.
I'm going to put them over here on the screen so you guys don't have any problem with finding that. Josh, thank you very much. Amazing class, and I really hope you're gonna enjoy this club for many years.
Thank you.
And hey, looking forward to see some wrestlers coming from your gym, you know, like in MMA and UFC and all that. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Guys, see you to the next one. Panda out.